all of you. With that said, I don't know. How do you talk about yourself? Well, I'm originally from New Orleans, born and raised until Katrina can't happen, and I moved to New Iberia. And I'm an art assistant at an alternative school there. That's just a little bit of background. But these pieces are the most recent that I have. Most recent works, these are the ones next door. Some of them I've done this year in January, so like really, really recent. And they're special to me because I like boutique. I love the process because it's technical, but once you get into it, you're free to, to have, you don't have any limitations. If you make a mistake, it's okay. It's really great because it looks better once it comes out. The more wax you put on it, the better it is, So all of them are really special to me because they all tell a story to me. All my emotions are in all of them. Even, simple ones, 2 color ones, they're all in there. Any questions?
Tell me how you feel when you paint boutique.
When I paint, it's the feeling is like as if I'm sitting. You know how you're sitting down and you're listening to someone sing, really sing, and you feel that emotion, like, oh my God. Like, I wish I could sing. I can't sing. So that's the next best thing for me. Like, that's the feeling that I get, when I paint. If I could, I'm happy with what I got, but if I could get back in line and get some singing talent, I would, But that's how it feels to me. It feels like that moment that, whatever that is, whatever that's called, when I boil it out, I don't get it until I boil it. That's when it really happens. I can see it and I'm like, oh, this is coming out nice, I like this. But when I boil it, that's like, oh, yeah. All my work is like, this is what it's for, this is the moment. So that's the feeling.
What she told me in the car coming up, that it was what it felt like, was that her hands were singing.
Let me explain the process briefly. This is new to many of us. I know I had to go to the internet myself. So would you just briefly explain?
Okay, the process, I start with white fabric, most times. I start with white fabric, and I use a tool called a chanting, T-J-A-N-T-I-N-G. It's like a pipe with a straw on it. It's a little copper, a small pipe, and a small straw. And I draw my designs. You hold it just like you would a pencil. And the cup, you fill it with hot wax. So I have my pot, and I constantly dip, go back and forth to keep the wax hot. And I just draw on it. And then most times my color is yellow, my first color. So I'll dye it in yellow. I have to wait for it to dry. Once it's dried, everything I want to be yellow, I have to wax it in. Next color might be red or blue. Whatever color that I want to remain, I have to wax it in, either with the brush, like the big one I did with the brush, and the smaller ones I use the tool with. But each color that you want it to be, you have to wax it in or you'll lose it. And so at the end, I boil it out. And then this is what I did. But as you do it, the colors mix.
What do you mean by boiling it out?
Or I boil hot water and dip them in. Or I pour hot water on it, like in a bucket. Pour it off the stove and pour it in and remove the wax.
To remove wax?
Yes, to remove all the wax.
And then this is what it's like.
This is what it is. Some of them I like to leave the wax in, so if you see, if you'll notice some flakes or whatever, that's the wax, because I like to keep the technique. I don't want it to be too commercial to where, you lose that element. So I like to leave just a little bit of wax in all of it.
This is a two-part question.
Yes.
Where did you learn the technique, and how long have you been doing it? And then I'll ask you the other part.
Okay. I'm a member of the art group Yaya, Young Artists, Young Aspirations. It's a group of teenage kids who start out as teenagers in New Orleans. And we always would get different artists to come in and teach us different things. So for 2 years, I studied with an Indonesian artist, Victor Sojourner. He came from Indonesia and took me under his wing for 2 years. So from 96, 97 on, I've been with TV.
From an educational perspective, you say you work with alternative students.
Yes.
How receptive have they been to this different design of artwork as opposed to being flat with the mask, or with it being so many colors and a different technique? Sometimes the students are very hard to get through to. So what are your success stories as far as working with alternative
Well,
students?
here we go.
Good question.
Sure. Well, they come in and they're like, well, I want to do this. And I'm like, we're going to do this. You're going to learn it. You're going to like it. So, after, and I showed them, when I do stuff, I show them, I have the example. And I'm like, okay, this is what it looks like. This is what we're going to do, A, B, C, D. And that's how we're going to get to E. And so I go with them. I ease them into it to where they're comfortable. And they like it. They see mine like, oh, that's nice, I like that. You can do the same thing. You have to want to do it, So I pull that out of them, that yes, you can do it. Just because it won't come out like mine doesn't mean that it's not any better. So that's how we get through that. Any other questions?
I do have one. One of the next like 7 minutes. When it's just like sort of white and beige or brown.
Mm-hmm.
When you start with a color, do you plan to go on and use other colors, or is it sort of like a knowing when it's enough, or is there sort of a knowing when to stop?
Sometimes it's that something. It's like, as I'm going, I don't know. I may say, okay, well, I want this one to be green, red, and blue. But once I get into it, I might say, well, I don't want to do that. I want to do it. So I just know when I know. That's the easiest way I can answer it.
The work tells you that it's the
Yeah, it's like, hey, this is done. I'm leave it alone now. Yeah.
You do the mask the same way?
The masks are actually, I start with the plastic, just generic plastic face, and I use oil clay, and I build it up, I mold it, just like ceramics. I mold it, and then I paper mache on top with newspaper. And so it is kind of the same as the batik, because it's layer upon layer upon layer. And then once it dries, I remove the clay and scrape all of it out, and then I have the hard shell, that's just paper. All of those are just paper.
Question. The Yaya group, is that still in existence since Katrina?
Yes, it is, and this is the founder right here, Dana Natalie. She's my mentor. Yes, it is still in existence. They're very much, right now they're working on ladders and stuff for Mardi Gras, so if y'all going to the parade, so that's some little ones. Hey, make sure y'all got ladder.
What are some things that have inspired you to do some of these pieces? Like life experiences or?
Everything. If I have a bad day at work, I might go home and I'm working big, Or if I'm feeling bad, it might be small. Everything, music, colors, feelings, everything is into it. Art imitates life, so, this is my life.
Well, you told me earlier that Raspberry Beret was your favorite piece in here. What was your emotional state when you were creating that for it to be your favorite piece?
I was listening to Prince, of course. I was listening to Prince. I was in a real good mood. And purple is my favorite color, so that just put the icing on the cake. So, yeah. That's coming soon. Any more questions?
Talk a little bit about some of the other exhibits you did, the Lemon Van Johnson Museum, some of your other travel when you went overseas.
Well, aside from Yaya, we had numerous shows within Yaya, but the first show that I had as a breakaway Yaya artist was in '99, and it was called Our New Day Begun, African American Artists Entering the New Millennium. And that was at the Lyndon B. Johnson Presidential Library in Austin. And from Austin, it went to Texas Southern University. And then from there, it went to the Dallas African American Museum. And that was a big show for me because I was 19. It was the moment where I got to really figure out if I wanted to really be an artist or if I just liked it as a hobby. And I realized that people actually took it serious, took my work seriously. It was a great exhibit. It was with like Jacob Lawrence and Gordon Parks and Elizabeth Catlett, John Scott, some Romare Bearden, people that I had read about in school. So for me to be next to them was like, all right, hey. So that's just the highlight show, for me. It was my defining moment, like, okay, I'm gonna take this seriously now. Like, I have to put more than after school time into it, so yeah, that was one. And I had a Fresh Beginnings show at the Dallas African American Museum. And after Katrina, there was a show, it's called Art from the Gulf, and that was, it was artists affected in that, the hurricane cusp. And it was a tree that was in, I want to say, Georgia, that they had chopped down. There was like some controversy over a tree. It was like over 100 years old. So they cut it down and they made paper. And so each artist was sent a sheet of paper and we had to do something on it. And so what I did was I punched holes in it, I cut it all up and punched holes in it and put eyelets in it and strung string all in it, and I wrote a poem about Katrina and New Orleans, like how I felt. So that was really a good show because I guess it kind of helped me heal, a little bit from Katrina too. So.
After Katrina, what was the theme?
Well, after Katrina, I didn't really. The only two pieces I did was the two pieces that's next door. They're red. They're both red. They look similar. Those were the only pieces that I did and finished. Like the rest of it, I stopped. I was like, I don't feel like doing this. I'm taking a break. It was just a feeling of, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck in limbo. Like my life is crazy.